Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us on this beautiful day in America. Thanks so much for spending a part of your evening with us. There's a lot to get to tonight, and in just a few moments, we're going to be joined by Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen Reports, lead pollster, preeminent pollster for America. He's got some new polls for us, folks, and I don't want to waste any time leaving him here in the locker room, but we're going to talk about the latest polling on President Trump. If Americans believe he's fit for office physically and mentally, if Americans believe he's done enough, if he's done what he said he was going to do, if he kept up on his campaign promises. We also have some polling on what you know today with what President Trump has done so far. Do you still support him? Or if you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Kamala Harris? Some stunning numbers that you guys are going to want to hang around for. We've also got some polling on immigration and what Americans are saying if they believe that these migrants and these immigrants who are coming to America legally, should they be assimilating to American cultural values, or do the American people believe that they should be able to come to America and continue their traditional values back in their home country? To me, it doesn't make any sense. Why you'd come to America if you just want to come here and keep your same traditional values? You might as well just stay where you are. We also have some polling on if the people believe President Trump can relate to what the American people are dealing with on a daily basis. Drug prices, gas prices, food prices. If you live here in New York, the street conditions. You have to live in New York to understand those. Just a world of its own. Some of the streets here in New York are like third world streets. We also have some polling from Rasmussen on Ukraine. The American people want to send more money to Ukraine, and this comes as Congress is voting on giving another $800 million to Ukraine, but still haven't voted on any stimulus checks for Americans, as we've been hearing that the tariff checks are coming. If you joined us yesterday on the Great America Show, we did a little expose on Chuck Grassley, because President Trump is not happy. He's not happy that Chuck Grassley has done enough. He thinks he hasn't done enough with his blue slip policy on getting people through in his nominations. Chuck Grassley this afternoon responding to President Trump's criticisms over this blue slip agreement that have been stonewalling the confirmation of President Trump's U.S. attorneys. You may recall earlier in the week, President Trump went off on Republican Senate leaders, including Chuck Grassley, for letting the Democrats stonewall his appointees because of the blue slip tradition. The blue slip customs defers the judicial nominations to the home state senators. So in New Jersey, you look at Alina Habba, who had to resign because both the Marxist Dems there would never vote for her. Just how it is. During the roundtable event, President Trump blamed Grassley for allowing the Democrats to stonewall and steamroll these nominees. He said, all because of Senator Grassley with his blue slip stuff, they will not let anyone go by. The Democrats have violated this blue slip provision on numerous occasions. Moments after that meeting, President Trump was caught on a hot mic, not happy. So, earlier this afternoon, Grassley responded to President Trump's criticism and said his committee has processed more U.S. attorneys than the previous administration. Grassley also blamed Trump aides and said they need to get on the ball with the paperwork and the background checks for these nominees. He says, quote, the committee has been quickly and efficiently processing nominations. After the morning meeting, we voted on 84 of the nominees, including the attorney generals, the FBI director, 6 circuit judges, 24 district judges, and 36 United States attorneys. He says they've advanced nominees as fast as our committee receives them, and they've confirmed more federal judges at this point than President Trump did in his first administration. Now, why would Grassley not allow the blue slip policy to go by the wayside and get rid of it? Now, Grassley also blamed DHS Chief Kristi Noem for declining to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee this month. He said, quote, on another matter, I'd like to discuss the committee's invitation to Secretary Noem to appear before the oversight hearing. I invited Secretary Noem to testify on December 2nd, and then on December 10th, she declined both invitations. DHS has failed to provide alternative dates. During her confirmation process, Secretary Noem committed to appear before the committee when invited. I expect better cooperation from the secretary early next year. Meanwhile, Grassley should be worried about getting through President Trump's U.S. attorneys. Get rid of the blue slip policy. John Thune, get off your ass and do your job. You know, as soon as the Democrats take back over the Senate, they're getting rid of the filibuster policy. Make no mistake about it. So either you get rid of it now and you get rid of all this nonsense and these hurdles and allow President Trump to do what he said he was going to do, because in just moments you're going to hear what the American people think, if they think that President Trump is doing what he said he was going to do. And it doesn't fall entirely on him. It falls on these senators, on the Senate majority leader. Now, I thought Thune was a terrible pick when they put him forward. I think someone like Rick Scott would have been far better to serve. But how much time are they going to allow to go by to not have U.S. attorneys in place in states or have President Trump's nominees through? It seems like just a good old-fashioned dragging of the feet, which we see time and time and time again by the rhinos. If Grassley can't do his job, resign, and let someone do the job who can, who's able to. If John Thune doesn't want to push forward the America First agenda that the American people voted for, and he wants to sabotage President Trump and anyone who runs after President Trump, you got to go. And it's incumbent upon the Republican senators there who are America First. If you can't do your job, resign. Very simple. Folks, we're going to take a quick break here. We're fired up tonight. If you're joining us on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, hit that like, subscribe, and follow button. Please give us a thumbs up. On the other side of this break, we're going to be joined by Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen Reports to take up all those polls and what the American people believe, what the American people think. It's going to be a wake-up call for President Trump and the administration. Make no mistake about it. Stand by. We're going to be back in less than 60 seconds to take all of it up. We're coming right back here on the Great America Show. Please stay with us.
I'm excited to announce that we're having a huge sale on overstock and brand new products. For example, MyPillow Percale bed sheets, every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. Our Percale bed sheets are breathable, cool and crisp, and they're perfect for spring and summer. And check out Rev 7, the next generation of energy drinks. It tastes great, and it gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. Best of all, it's actually good for you. And for a limited time, try our 3-pack absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs, or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88. Twin size, full size, queen size, king sizes, all $29.88. Inventory is extremely limited at this price, so order now.
Thanks, everybody, for staying with us here on the Great America Show. And if you're joining us on Rumble or YouTube, please be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and follow button. Give us a thumbs up. I want to bring in our guest today. It's been a little while since we've had him on. He's been kind of busy getting the polls out for you. Mark Mitchell, Rasmussen Reports. Mark, always good to talk to you. Delighted to have you back. I'm sorry to disturb whatever you were just looking up, but let's get to President Trump's numbers.
Already you got jokes right out of the gate, John. It's going to have to be an inside secret what I was just looking up, but
nothing illegal. No. Well, I guess it depends what country you're in. It could be illegal. President Trump's numbers today. As we sit here on December 11th, where is he at? Is he still underwater? I know you've been going back and forth that numbers have dipped below. They've come up a little bit, but I feel like we're in a weird place right now.
We certainly are. I think we're at an inflection point. Now, I don't even know if we've talked on air before my trip down to Washington, D.C., and even before or after the special elections. But going into the beginning of November, the worst that Trump had done was a -4 net approval rating, which is not that terrible. But you'd hope it'd be better since he got one of the biggest mandates for his agenda of any Republican president ever in recent history. But then November was a complete crap show. I mean, the government shutdown and then SNAP being defunded, and then the elections were horrible because Republicans weren't able to convert the Trump voter from 2024. And then Trump's all over the map fighting the press about affordability and counter signaling his base on things like H-1Bs and the student visas. And we've been polling on all that stuff. And I was so openly hostile to the administration for not understanding their base. Like, I was getting hundreds of DMs from people who were burning their MAGA hats and saying, I thought Trump was going to be our Franco, and I guess he isn't. And we're just going to have to all wait. This country's screwed. We're all going to die. So people were a little bit histrionic, and it was a mess. And Trump's numbers certainly suffered over the last week. It got down to a -12 approval rating net, which again, Biden has done worse and Trump has also done worse, but it was during the Russian collusion hoax. And when Biden was at -12, there were people falling out of C-130s in Kabul, like basically is where we were at, or in Afghanistan. So that's recovered. He's back up to -4. And I went and gave him advice. I think it's helped change the way that he has been messaging on the economy, but I don't know if it's enough. So Democrats are +3 on the generic ballot. The gerrymandering war of attrition continues on. It's going to be everybody fighting for like 1 inch on the football field next year for the midterms, and I have no idea who's going to win. But the message that I've been saying is that, listen, you guys got elected for a reason and people want you to do more. And if you fail, it's because you've not done enough. And so Republicans and Trump need to get together and lay out what a real plan to fix America looks like. I would have thought they would have had one coming into this administration. But what I'm starting to find out is that it was kind of just like what Trump 1.0 was, which was chaotically just throw a bunch of crap at the wall and see what sticks. But unfortunately, this time around, it seems like he's drawing a lot more guidance and input from like the wrong people, like donors and foreign nations and Fox News hosts. And he needs to get a little bit more input from younger people on the internet, I think.
Yeah, I am in total agreement with you on that. People got upset when he had Elon Musk around him. And little do we know, Elon Musk, he's an oligarch, Elon Musk. I mean, not necessarily a bad thing. It's just what he is, right?
Yep.
I love the hell out of him. I think he did a terrific job, and was unceremoniously pushed out because he thought he was going to be able to do more than he actually could. Like every person who goes into government, Mark, you've luckily never had to work in government, but any person who goes into government, you go in with these big expectations, and then you get in there and you realize the whole thing's just a melting pot, and there's really very little wiggle room on where you can go left and right because everyone's just so corrupt and compromised. You and I went down to D.C. together. You saw exactly how it worked. It's, work 2 hours a day and dine out 8 hours a day on the donor's dime. It's just what it is. Everyone's dream job should be to be a politician. Right. But you're right. I think he is surrounded now by some of the worst people. And it's the people, Mark, who hated him his entire career. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, the Baljit from Google, whatever the heck his name is. All these different people who have hated his guts, who have now somehow wiggled their way in. Tim Cook over at Apple, who have wiggled their way in now to be in his good graces. And President Trump doesn't like to be hated. So, he's taking it all in. And he's loving the fact that these people are kissing the ring and they're showing him respect. But on the back end, Mark, behind closed doors, they're doing everything they could to undermine America and our workers.
Yes, 100% yes to all of that. You forgot to mention Lindsey Graham, but yeah, to 100% all of that.
By the way, while I don't mean to cut you off, but while everyone's getting outed for being gay, what's taking so long with Lindsey Graham? Sorry.
I don't know. I heard the Ladybug story for the first time since we've talked, and it's changed me.
Go on back to what you're saying. I apologize.
This is a family-friendly show, I guess. So, we can't go into it, but no. I forgot what I was saying. Now
you were talking about all the people compromised, and Lindsey Graham is another one.
Well, this is what. Yeah, Brett Baer. I mean, I said this to Trump. He was bragging about golfing with Lindsey Graham and how great Lindsey Graham's drive is. And isn't it awesome about how much money Lindsey Graham can raise? And I love golfing with Brett Baer. And I said, sir, why would you golf with Brett Baer? He's like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, he stole your election, sir. And most people who support you got rid of Fox News on November 3rd, 2020. And he's like, yeah, that was really bad. And then 2 weeks later, he's golfing with Brett Baer again. Brett Baer's pumping his fist while Trump is sinking a putt. It's like, what are we even doing here? So I think you put your finger on it exactly, which is what America is objectively much worse off than it was 10 years ago. And if you want to be a Trump fluffer, you could certainly cherry pick economic data and say, well, things aren't that bad. But they really are, because my death of the American dream polling wouldn't be off the charts bad if things weren't bad. So the American dream is dead. And Donald Trump knew that because he promised a golden age. Now he's trying to do like a Bidenflation gaslighting op to convince everybody we have a golden age. It's not going to work. And he hangs out with basically his golfing buddies all day. And that's somebody, in my opinion, like you said, who wants to be loved and not be what I think we need, which is a wartime president. We need a General Patton that understands exactly who we're fighting, why and how, and what the strategy is. And the clock is ticking right now. I mean, how many days left? Days until midterms. Well, and it is, 326 days. So whatever he does between now and then has to be enough to convince Americans that Republicans can govern, that Trump and Republicans together can govern. And what are Republicans doing? They're passing like resolutions against anti-Semitism in the House.
I want to say something, because you didn't get to know Lou Dobbs. I wish you did, because you would have loved him and he would have absolutely adored you. There's very few people that he liked, and knowing Lou, he would have loved you. And I don't mean this. I don't even know how to say this, but Lou had an influence on President Trump his first 4 years like nobody else had. And Lou never told anybody. The only time it ever came out that Lou would advise or speak to President Trump would be someone on his staff leaking it, because they hated the fact that President Trump watched Lou's show every single night. And whatever we wrote on that show, I had someone come here the other day telling me, what the hell do you know? You just took over Lou's show. I mean, everything Lou read off a teleprompter, he'd read with me writing part of it or advising him on part of it. So President Trump was watching the show every single night, and Trump would watch it, and he would tell his staff, and this has been reported, so it's not a secret, do whatever Lou Dobbs just said. So the staff hated Lou. They hated anything about him. They tried to keep him away from it, but Lou never shied away, and I spent a lot of time with him. When we were in the city, I'd spend 8-9 hours a day with him. He never shied away from picking up the phone and saying, very respectfully, Mr. President, this is wrong. You have to do this or that. And Trump listened to him. He had someone who had the best interest of his country and the best interest of President Trump, not the best interest of their pockets. He never took a dime from anybody aside from whoever was paying him, Fox News or CNN at the time. And I think he's got that void because Lou Dobbs isn't picking up the phone and President Trump isn't tuning in every night to hear the cold, hard truth about things that necessarily aren't going good. And Lou never shied away. He was a good friend to President Trump, but he never shied away from telling him the truth, even if the truth hurt his feelings. And I think we have that huge void right now.
Yeah, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ear, John. I think you're 100% right. I think that was my biggest takeaway, which is like, what's really going on? What's really going on down there? Because everybody conjectures and nobody really knows. And having felt the texture of what was happening in the White House, Donald Trump is still very much in charge. He is not a puppet of anybody. He is literally just shooting from the hip. And he does that based on information that he personally collects from the people he thinks are important. And it's not Susie Wiles gatekeeping him. She was actually helped get me down there. She was one of the people who were like, hey, he needs to hear from new voices. And what's happened is he was getting influence from people like you, younger people who understand the real state of America, filtered through Lou Dobbs. And he was getting people like Charlie Kirk, and they're gone now. And so who is he listening to? It's like Sean Hannity. And he talks to that guy for hours. And it's like America and the state of where we're at right now is too important to be governed by people like Lindsey Graham and Sean Hannity. Yeah. They don't really understand. And I don't think Lindsey does, but I'm sure Sean Hannity has the best interest of America at heart. No. But he doesn't buy groceries. He hasn't tried to compete with Indians to get a job. He literally has no idea.
I disagree with you on that, and I'll tell you why. And it's very few times I actually disagree with you. If Sean Hannity had the best interest of America, he wouldn't have Lindsey Graham on his show every night. He knows damn well Lindsey Graham is not good for America. And the difference is, Mark, and I don't mean to, like you said, John, blow smoke up anyone's ass, is Lou Dobbs was one person I knew for a fact never benefited or gained $1 off of President Trump or anything that he did. And as a matter of fact, the stuff that Lou was putting out and spewing, and I don't even say spewing, but the stuff that Lou was putting out, it actually hurt him. If Lou had told me there was times along his career, Mark, where he'd gotten contacted by foreign countries. One of them, he told me, was China. That if he just let off the gas on China in the early 2000s, that he would have been benefited very well with large sums of money. And Lou Dobbs told him, go F yourself. I don't care about your money. I don't want your money. And you know what? People don't know this, but for the first year and a half that we did this show, Lou didn't take a dime. Not a dime from sponsors, not a dime from anybody funding him. He funded this show by himself. He funded a merchandise operation by himself that was run by me, which he paid me to do. He paid me out of pocket. He paid his other producers out of pocket to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year out of his own pocket.
Yeah, wow.
To not take money because he felt at the beginning, because he was so new to the podcasting space, that it wasn't right. He didn't want to come out here and push sponsorships on people. He didn't want to come out here and sell things because all he wanted to do was push the word forward of America first. Whereas these other guys, Mark, I mean, they run to go take money from whatever foreign country is giving them, whatever scumbag is giving them, just to take the money. And, you know, it pains me because the only thing I knew coming into this industry was Lou Dobbs. And it kind of hurts me because the level of ethics that this man had, you don't see anymore. So, like, I look at things now and I'm like, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. And I'm like, God, man, maybe working for Lou hurt me because he was too ethical, I told him, at least. And we don't have that anymore, Mark. It's terrible.
Yeah. That's why I'm where I'm at for sure, 100%. It's like we are industry pariahs, and it's because I can't be bought. And this is my biggest wake-up call for the industry. Is that, again, people outside looking in, I think, are getting a much better glimpse into what is really going on, mostly because of Twitter. And every single thing I've experienced tells me that it is as bad as I thought it was. In fact, worse in some ways. These people are like cartoon caricatures of selling out in a way that is even more profoundly debased than you could possibly think. You look at somebody, for instance, like Ted Cruz and the way he behaves and the interests that he peddles, and take your pick, and you're probably right. Don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the blackmail or the honeypots or the purchase, but every single one of them, I think it's pretty much the same way. And there is so little integrity in the business that the people deserve better. It's disgusting.
Ted Cruz is the most, and I used to love Ted Cruz. I used to think he was the smartest man in the Senate. I supported him for president in 2016 before President Trump won the nomination. And Lou used to give me crap about it all the time. We'd be with Trump and he would tell him, you know, John, you know, he supported Ted. And I go, you know what, Lou, it is what it is. And, you know, it was just funny. And to see what he's turned into, I mean, and I've heard stories from people, very prominent people down in Houston, Texas. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but about infidelity. So I don't know. But I've been told from very reliable sources down there, people in the know. Like I said, I haven't confirmed them on my own, but that man has taken a turn. He's put on about 100 pounds, and you know, I don't talk about weight. Yeah. I'm not exactly skinny myself, but he's put on about 100 pounds. He's got this beard thing now going on, and he is a total shill for Israel, which is like, okay, you can support Israel. That's great. I'm all for it. But you're a U.S. Senator, dude, and you wake up every morning and you post about Tucker Carlson and Israel. You have some sort of mental derangement syndrome. Now, I don't know if he's doing that because he thinks Tucker's running for president, and that's going to be his number one competitor, but it's not. If he runs for president, it's going to be J.D. Vance. I don't know what his obsession with Tucker Carlson is, and hopefully we get to see Tucker at AmFest next week because I want to figure out what the hell is going on with Ted Cruz. The man is having a meltdown, and it happens every single day.
Well, I think we can probably conjecture about what that is. And it's because I think Ted Cruz is smart enough politically to understand that he's going to absolutely get blown out of the water. And that if he thinks at all he'll ever be president, it's through some miraculous stroke of good luck for him, right? And so he's going to run this. He's going to run in this, what will be a clown car primary. It'll be a circular firing squad of a bunch of Republican special interests. You're going to have the big ag guy. That'll be Mike Pence. You're going to have the military industrial complex person. I don't know who that'll be. It was Nikki Haley last time, right? Like, you're just going to have everybody's special interest. And what happens is the presidential candidate gets money. They get all of that, like, donor bucks ciphered back to them and their the people under them, and it keeps the interest in the news. And so I think what he's doing is what is the best thing that Israel's decided needs to be in the news right now is attacking Tucker Carlson. And so he's just doing their dirty work. And, it's just wild how they're not stopping, even though they destroyed the public opinion on Israel. But I can tell you it's not working on Tucker Carlson. I don't know if you knew this, but we polled on him. And, the left hates him.
Yeah.
And his numbers have slipped with Republicans, certainly, since when he was fired from Fox. But he's still 60% favorable among Republicans to only 22% unfavorable, only 11% very unfavorable. So it's not really working. Like, he is very popular among Republicans. So you look at the Texas Senate situation, and you got John Cornyn and you got Ted Cruz, and the races have been tight. Like, Texas did pretty well in 2024 for Trump, whatever it was like plus 10 or something, right? But we all know that Trump's not going to be on the ballot again. We all know that Texas is a hell of a lot less, less good for Republicans when Trump's not there. And all of a sudden, you got Jasmine Crockett districted out. She's a hot commodity among Democrats right now. And maybe she's going to run this time against John Cornyn, or maybe she holds out and runs against Ted Cruz when he's up in 2030. And I don't know if he wins that, if he's going to be talking about Israel and freaking Tucker Carlson for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Is that his single issue? Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I mean, is that going to be his single issue? A lot of people have made that their single issue. You look at the Huckabees too. I didn't know this, but apparently that was the only ad that Sarah Huckabee Sanders cut in her run for Arkansas governor, was about how her trip to the Wailing Wall transformed her politics. And now you have Mike Huckabee out there today leading report. No, nothing to see here, folks. Epstein was totally not at all about a foreign government running compromise on people.
Yeah.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
You know, it's so funny because you see everyone calling Tucker, not everyone, it's Mark Levin and Laura Loomer, Tucker Carlson, he's getting money from Qatar. But they negate the fact that the U.S. government over the last 10 years has done about $100 billion of business with Qatar, and it's on the side of us selling them more goods than vice versa. Or Saudi Arabia. People want to talk about Saudi Arabia. You hear about it a lot less, but I mean, we look at what they did in 9/11 and how much business we've done with them to the tune of like $500 billion over the course of the last 10 years. So you hear them talking about this, and they're taking money from Saudi Arabia, and you're taking money from here. And that's the only country they're focused on. They don't care about anywhere else. I don't know what the obsession with Qatar is. I've tried to figure it out. I can't figure it out. There could be bigger obsessions with people taking money from other countries, which I won't say their names, than from Qatar. What is that whole obsession?
I know. Oh, I'll tell you right now, I know 100%. And don't let me forget, John, I got in a Twitter fight with Mark Levin, and I ratioed him 8 times, just so you know. With 40x fewer followers, I ratioed Mark Levin 8 times. But anyways, here's the situation with Qatar. So a certain government in the Middle East pays a lot of money to the United States to influence electoral politics. That just happens. It's a fact. And they like to deflect. And so there are other governments that also influence the United States. Qatar 100% spends money here to influence people. I've heard of people getting the checks from Qatar. I've heard of people getting the checks from Israel. It actually freaking happens. And the only thing that's different, in my opinion, about Qatar is one, that it's a Muslim state. And so it creates a nice, opponent, a nice foil to the Israeli influence.
Yeah,
and that there are
and all Muslims are terrorists. I got it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And there is a statistic floating around that Qatar leads the Middle East countries in how much that they've spent in higher education. And over the years, it's $6 billion. And that's a very disingenuous number, because we're talking about 4 decades that Qatar has spent $6 billion. And what that's done is about 2/3 of that has gone to just set up satellite colleges in Qatar. It's like, hey, Colombia's coming down to Qatar to train these people. And so that's not really foreign influence. I mean, I guess it is a little bit, but nothing to the tune of what like AIPAC and all of the other private individuals who have donated. And then here's the other thing that Qatar is different, is that this is a backhand swipe at MAGA and the Trump movement. This is one of the establishment's ways that it reasserts itself against this new wave of republicanism that they hate. And that's because Donald Trump has been a little bit of cozy with Qatar. And so obviously they're going to go after this because it's a subversive way to attack him.
But he's getting attacked from his own people, like Laura Loomer, who swears, she's Donald Trump's biggest fan. I was trying to find this thing on Twitter because I got in a little argument with someone the other day.
A2 Brute?
No, I don't know who the heck it was. It was a guy who pretty much said, like, oh, AIPAC's only spent this much money in America compared to all these other countries. And what he did was he took what the country spent over 10 years and he compared it to what AIPAC spent the last year. You mentioned these satellite colleges, which is kind of funny. No mention of India, right? Talking about satellite colleges, which we're going to talk about. Here we go. I found this post because I want to bring it up to the audience. And I did use a little bit of language I probably shouldn't have, but you know what? We're all sinners, right? So I apologize.
Hey, it's your show.
I apologize. Yeah, the people don't like when I use profanity, and I shouldn't be. And I promise in the new year I'm going to try to work on it. I've been trying to work on it for 30 years, Mark. It's bad. So this guy, Eyal Yaboki, whatever his name is that's right. Last year, AIPAC spent $100 million lobbying the U.S. government. That same year, China spent $460 million. Japan spent $410 million. Pharma spent $387 million. Saudi spent $310 million. $256 million from Qatar. Unlike those lobbyists, AIPAC is entirely funded by Americans who uniquely support the U.S.-Israel alliance. So I said, laughing my ass off, this guy's full of shit. Grok, please correct the lies from this dirtbag. And Grok, in true fashion, comes to the rescue. Grok says, the original post mixes lobbying and election spending. Per Open Secrets, AIPAC's 2024 lobbying was $3.3 million, but PAC spent over $100 million on elections. Pharma lobbied $391 in 2024, go on and so forth. And then I go on and say these were the numbers over the course of cumulative since 2016.
Unbelievable.
So this guy's sitting there lying. So then I replied back to Grok. So just as I said, this guy's a scumbag liar. He added up those countries from the last 10 years and tried to compare it for AIPAC for just the last election cycle. Thank you, Grok, for you're the best for exposing your lies. And Grok is so polite. Glad to assist. Yes, the party lobbying figures cited are cumulative since 2016 per Open Secrets. So it's just mostly deception and lies from people who try to paint a narrative. If you're going to paint the narrative, just be honest about it. That's all we're asking. Don't lie.
Yeah, that guy is one of the most deceptive people on Twitter. It's really insidious, the stuff I've seen.
So let's talk about some of these numbers that you have. You talk a lot about India, and I think you get yourself in trouble with it, and you're particularly not fond of it. From personal PTSD and personal experiences that you've had, you've got guys like, I just saw a poll, Mark, before we jumped on here, Vivek Ramaswamy, who's Mr. H-1B himself, and no racial thing to it. This is a man who's come out and said, Americans are lazy, we need more Indians here. A poll from Emerson has him down to a Democrat in the non-swing state of Ohio, whereas Sherrod Brown, the Senate candidate, is down against the Republican. It's guys like you, Mark, who are moving the needles to expose guys like Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm sorry, you can't be running for public office. You shouldn't be in public office out here saying that Americans are lazy and that we need more Indians here. I don't know what country that works in, but it's not going to work here in a country where you have Americans who love this damn country and bust their ass for every dollar they make.
Yeah, you know what was kind of gross too? I don't know if you remember the Ramaswamy massacre of last December. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary. I think it was December 24th. It was a very big day on Twitter. Elon Musk came out there and told everybody to F their faces, and it was a mess. But if you recall, the most insidious thing about the Vivek Ramaswamy post is that it was a response to a pretty heartfelt, beautiful picture of like a high school football quarterback, kissing the head of the cheerleaders, like on a football field, very nostalgic picture, basically pure Americana. And that's what he was responding to and attacking. He was saying that our culture worships the wrong thing. So here you have somebody who, again, I don't know if he was actually an immigrant or if he was born here. He's obviously naturalized, right? But he is attacking the American culture and saying that we don't work hard enough. And here's the complex thing about H-1Bs is that Americans actually do like immigration. This whole huddled mass thing was a psychological operation that has cut really deep into the American psyche. And they also actually support the H-1B program. And most people in Washington, D.C. would stop there, but we didn't stop because then Americans say, well, yeah, obviously corporations are abusing these programs by a 10-point margin. And obviously we hate corporations. They have too much power. We have to go after them. And obviously, it's more about just the economy. It's about jobs and then back to the death of our American dream numbers. And so Americans have had their futures stolen from them by this corrupt corporate oligarchy. And he's, he's a pharma billionaire. He is part of the oligarchy. And if you're going to run a governor in the Rust Belt, these people's jobs have been stolen. And I've been hammering the H-1B program on one of the few people. I mean, obviously, a lot of people have been hammering it, but in politics, this is one of those things that the Republican big business people all want to protect because this is where they get their profits from. They screw the American people so that they can pad their pockets. And even if you look at, like, Vance has been one of the leaders in reducing the number of immigrants here in America, but he hasn't actually come really vocally out against this. Yeah. And we do even have Project Firewall. Like, the Department of Labor, Department of Justice is going after this kind of nepotistic hiring and diversity abuse. But the leaders can't even come out and find their way to attacking this H-1B program because I think the border is a problem. I hate illegal immigration. I think that we should close the border and brutally deport everybody because it violates the rule of law. It brings drugs here. It brings violent Venezuelans here. But if you're worried about increasing American wages and restoring the middle class, you have to be focused on getting rid of the high salaried people, and that is all of the corporations that have given the best jobs in America to H-1Bs. And so, you know what? If Elon Musk is going to die on this hill, I'm going to die on this hill too. My career was screwed over by these people. They gloat about it. There are Indian supremacists. That's a much bigger problem than white supremacy. And you know what? If I'm going to be on the front page of India Today calling for a massive remigration of Indian workers, then guess what? Like, that's what's going to happen.
As this comes, we've got the obviously the problem with the Indian visas and your remigration issue. We've got the issue happening over in.
You heard your voice, John, to come to say hi.
I love that dog. If that dog ever goes missing, it's going to be me who's the culprit who stole her. I love that dog. Oh my!
She's been going outside at night and getting in a fight with foxes. So one of these nights, she's just not going to come back.
Oh no! Give her to me before she. Before it's too late. I'll take care. I love that dog. With all of this, Mark, comes the issue. By the way, I don't know if you ever heard, but they were eating the cats and dogs over in Springfield just a few months ago.
Yeah, they're eating the cats. My kids still listen to that.
That's one of the funniest things he's ever said. You have the issue of the Somalians over in Minnesota. And, I saw somebody post something on Twitter the other day, and I'm like, I don't know why I didn't think of that. If they've got this much money in fraud going on, in money fraud, how much voter fraud can possibly be going on over in Minnesota? One of your new polls that you've got out, you've got some new numbers for me on immigration and assimilation and what Americans think, because these people come here, Mark, and they think that they're going to create their communities back in, You look at Somalia, and President Trump is right. It's not a country. They have no government. They have no military. They have absolutely nothing, and they just kill each other. It's not a government. That's not Donald Trump being insensitive. That's not Donald Trump being racist. It's what it is. They think they're going to come to this country and recreate their countries. And I did a whole episode, Mark, on this. I spewed for about 30 minutes, and I probably picked up a lot of fans and a lot of enemies at the same time. It drives me nuts seeing people come to this country and wave their flags and their hair and all this bullshit. Their independence in their country and how they gained independence. If your country was so good, why'd you pack up and come to America? You're sitting here, you're waving your flags. Yeah. You're like, why'd you come to America? It's so simple. But these people come here and they think they're going to recreate their communities that they had back home, living in dirt huts here in America, and it's not going to happen. Your new polling shows exactly what I'm saying, correct?
Yeah, this is, and we're starting to get into like obvious territory, which I guess is actually the good thing, because I feel like, 10 or 20 years ago when we talked about politics, we were talking about really wonky policy stuff, and we were talking about, no, people think this, no, people think that, no, how will we convince America? And America's like, screw you, get these people out of here. Yeah. So how important is it that immigrants from foreign countries assimilate to American culture? 46% very important, 31% somewhat important. So that's a combined total of 77%. Only 4% say not at all important. And this fits in with all of our other polling. Mass deportations is very popular. People want a lower level of legal immigration. And even we have, by a 5-1 margin, Trump voters say that immigrants are more likely to assimilate if the number of immigrants is reduced. So this is really obvious stuff, but I love it. And what we hadn't talked about, but you watched some of, and I watched too, was this Nick Fuentes Piers Morgan interview, which I don't know if you want to get into or not, but what I thought was the most important part is that the youth are going after the ists and isms really, really, really hard. And that's this set of boomer values that is dying very rapidly in America. And one of them is the poor, huddled masses. The writing is on the wall. If Republicans don't lean into this, then the pendulum will swing back. And then when it swings back again, we're going to see a much, much, much harder right movement. We're going to see people much more hostile to immigrants in this country and a lot less accepting to the kinds of open fraud and abuse that we've been seeing. America wants drastic order. And even the most like independent, non-ideological people that I follow on YouTube, like the influencers, when they see stuff like this Minnesota thing, they're like, what the hell are the Republicans doing? Why isn't Tim Walz swinging from a gibbet? Like, why haven't we thrown Ilhan Omar over the wall already? Like, why? And here's the part that is really bad. Why is Trump still posting all of these long boomer rants on Truth Social and not doing anything? And so if that doesn't change fast, we're going to get into laughingstock territory here, because raging impotently when you control the government and everybody's getting away with infinity everything, that's bad. We were supposed to drain the swamp, and it's not being done right now.
And also from your new polling, the people who are upset, and this is a dangerous number and it's a dangerous category, but the people who are most upset are the future of America, the 18 to 29s. 49% say President Trump has not done enough after promising what he was going to do when he ran for election. That's not good.
But this is exactly what I'm saying. They don't give a crap about conservatism. That's an ism. They don't care at all. All they want is for Trump to actually just do what he said he was going to do. And we have to be very clear-eyed about the fact that the Trump we're seeing right now is not the same Trump that we saw 14 months ago. We went from a Trump who was literally in the McDonald's window giving people fries to a Donald Trump where by 13 points, people say that, no, Trump doesn't understand the problems I deal with on a daily basis. That's really bad. And then which is closer, Trump has a 13-point disadvantage on understands the problems I deal with on a daily basis. Not where you'd want to be. It was like 40 to 53 or something like that. But then which is closer to your opinion, that Trump has done too much of what he promised or not enough of what he promised? And so this is the thing. These under 30 voters, you and I both know they're actually kind of socialist. Yeah, they don't care about conservatism at all. And what they're saying here is that we don't support Trump now because he didn't do what he said he was going to do. they're like they're like the Sheila LaBeouf meme. They're like, just do it. Just arrest these people. Like, throw the billionaires out of the White House on their butts and arrest people. And I told this to Trump to his face, and it's not happening. He's jangling the keys again. He's giving them, red meat. And this is the part that I think is really dangerous, John, is that he keeps moving the Overton window right. His State Department came out in defense of Western culture in Europe and has been signaling abandoning NATO. He's talking about repealing Hart-Celler. You and I both know that there is no Congress on earth that is going to repeal Hart-Celler. So what happens when you keep dragging the movement farther and farther right and then letting them down harder and harder?
Yep. You know what? It's better to not. And I mean, me, I guess, as a millennial, never did I think millennials would be looked upon now as some of the better group of people when you've got Gen Zers and Zoomers and stuff. But no, and you that's my biggest pet peeve is people who lie. I'd rather you not tell me you're going to do it and not do it than you tell me you're going to do it and not do it, because at that point you lied and you didn't keep your word. And Lou Dobbs used to always say to me, say what you mean and mean what you say and be a man of your word. And I mean, it's something that always stuck with me because he would say it to me all the time. Not that I wasn't a man of my word, but I think he tried to instill it into me, and it stuck with me every single day. You piss more people off when you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, because you create a false sense of hope and a false sense of expectation. Going off some of these numbers, Mark, knowing what you know now about each of the candidates, looking back, this is another number that frightens me a little bit. If the election were today and you know what you know now from the last 11 months that President Trump was president, or however many months it's been, who would you vote for? What's the numbers?
So this one's interesting, and it's actually better for Trump than I thought. We have to acknowledge that Democrats are +3 on the generic ballot, which is 6 points better for them than they were doing a year ago. And Trump was also -12 net approval when this poll was taken. But Trump loses by 1 point. So he's given up a couple of points of support. Kamala Harris, if the election were held today, Kamala Harris would win by a point nationally, which means that Donald Trump could technically probably still eke it out in the battlegrounds. This is night and day different than the situation in 2021, where in just 10 short months, Americans had a complete buyer's remorse on Joe Biden, going from literally +6 polling nationally for Biden to +10, a 16-point collapse. And so Donald Trump has built a very solid base of support. But this is, again, all about the fact that he's never going to be on the ballot again. And in 326 short days, we could be looking at the 120th Congress that's going to literally arrest and impeach everybody.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Yeah, just moments ago I saw that the Democrats actually knocked down Al Green, who we saw in the hallways of Congress not looking too well, knocked down their impeachment of President Trump with nearly 24 Democrats joining the House GOP to quash it. So, promising sign that not all the Marxist Dems are completely bad. Most of them are.
Well, they're smart enough to know it doesn't help them now.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Yeah, exactly, for sure.
What you're going to see is Republicans joining with Democrats to impeach Donald Trump.
We've already seen.
They're going to come up with some fake hoax. Already, John, think about what we're looking at now. We're looking at the Republican Senate Armed Services Committee, the Republican Senate Oversight Committee, Aren't they convening an investigation into Pete Hegseth for freaking blowing up narco terrorists when they haven't investigated Epstein? They haven't investigated January 6th. They haven't investigated the laptop from hell. They haven't investigated Act Blue. I could go on for 10 minutes and just list the things they haven't investigated. And you know what? I didn't talk to you about this, John. With Donald Trump having, a negative 12 approval rating, you know what's got like a plus 25, I think it is. Let me look. Let me find exactly what approval rating this is.
By the way, while you're talking about investigations, Rand Paul's been one crying. I've been going after him every night. Where's his investigation of Anthony Fauci? He's been telling us
anybody. Yeah, Fauci. Oh, he's fine. Trump's getting vaccines, John. It's all fine, man. All these Republicans are supported by pharma. They're not going to go after. We have pharma literally saying that they killed children in part of their vaccine. Where is this? I really want to find this number so I know exactly what it is, and I can't find.
What's the number in regard to?
Oh, you just gotta wait and see it, man. Keep talking.
No, but it blows my mind. You've got guys, and I go after them every night, like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie, who are just abhorrent. They're up in arms that Donald Trump is killing terrorists. That yesterday when they took that Venezuelan tanker, I was crying, laughing, because you had Chuck Schumer who came out and said, I'm going into that meeting and I'm demanding from Pete Hegseth that he tell me what the hell is going on. And then Schumer comes storming out like 10 minutes later. He wouldn't tell me what's going on. And you've got guys like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie who support that crap. And you're like, this is the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And there's no unity whatsoever.
Here, I got it. Plus 18. So when in a poll where Donald Trump was negative 12, blowing up narco boats is plus 18.
Wow.
So literally wasting narco terrorists is significantly more popular than Trump. So like, what the hell are we even doing? The young people are like, of course we should be blowing these people up. 64%. 64 freaking percent.
Someone should send that poll to Rand Paul. I wish I had his cell phone number because I would have texted him and told him how big of a fool he is. I mean, maybe he doesn't want to run for re-election. But then again, you know what? He'll probably get the support from President Trump because he supports Lindsey Graham and among other people. So, I mean, he probably would support him at this point. It's pretty crazy. Some of the other numbers you've got, Mark, which I thought was alarming. You did a fitness poll on President Trump. Is he fit for office?
Yeah.
Now, it's not as bad as Joe Biden's, but you look at Joe Biden and what he was, and the guy was a total vegetable. What's your percentages on people who say Trump is not fit, mentally and physically fit for office?
So this one is an important one, in my opinion, because it shows that we are out for the American people and not for any certain party. And so we have a question, like, in your opinion, is Donald Trump, how confident are you that Donald Trump is physically and mentally up to the job of doing of president? And Donald Trump was plus 8. He was 49% people are confident to only 41% not. And that's a complete reversal of where Joe Biden was. I think Biden was 48% confident to like 53% not confident. And so that's an important one to notice. And this was actually the same poll where Trump was negative 13 on understanding like the problems I face every day. And so it's not necessarily an aspect of age. And I think this is important because it does dispel the narrative. Most Democrats do think that Trump has an age problem, but this dispels the narrative I think we see on the left, that people just don't see it, right? You look at Reddit, it's all about how Trump is falling asleep at his meetings. The real problem is just that he's in this bubble and he's not really addressing the needs of America. And that's like kind of because he's an old billionaire surrounded by billionaires with a party that loves billionaires.
Yeah. I don't think for a second he's falling asleep. I mean, it's so stupid. You saw him, whatever, two weeks ago. There's no mental change. He's sharp as a tack, and everyone says it. The only people who say it are the same people who told us for 4 years that Joe Biden was healthy and the guy wasn't shitting his pants. I mean, like, give me a break. It's so absurd. The guy looks down at a piece of paper like I'm looking at right now. It looks like my eyes are closed, and it's so stupid that this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're up against. It's sad. Before we wrap, I want to get because you did some polling on Ukraine today,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting. And this is today from, by the way, the Gateway Pundit. I give them a shout out every single day. They do such a good job. Joe and Jim Hoff, two terrific gentlemen. Congress votes to hand over another $800 million for the Ukraine war, but so far refuses to vote for the $2,000 Trump tariff rebate checks for working Americans. Now, I don't agree with either of them. I don't think we should be giving out rebate checks for Americans. I don't think that we should be giving 1 red cent to Ukraine. So I'm sort of against Trump, I guess, on both of these.
Yeah.
We need to pay down our debt. $2.3 trillion added to the balance sheet since President Trump took office. The Fed is doing buybacks. I mean, the whole thing is just so, in my opinion, really upside down right now. Not as good as I think it could be. What are the people saying about Ukraine?
Well, quick on the tariffs. The tariffs were super popular. The checks 62 to 29, so 2-1. But then we ask, well, actually, though, what if the government just used it to pay down debt? And the tapped out American consumer that has been squeezed for every drop is like, no, government, you need this more than us. And it was 45 to 29. So that's really freaking incredible. And it shows you an aspect of fiscal conservatism that the people have. But as far as Ukraine and Russia go, this has been a tough one because the anti-Russia gaslighting has really gone deep. And I don't have a side here, but I'm just clear-eyed about the fact that the West kind of instigated this. You know what I mean? And it could have been averted because the Russian troops were on the border for like a month. Biden didn't do anything, and NATO wants a war. And they've said they want a war, and they're trying to get us involved in a war, and that's not good. So people think that it's a stalemate. Nobody thinks either Russia or Ukraine is winning. But we finally asked recently, well, what about support? Have we supported it enough? Should we keep supporting? Has America done enough to help Ukraine in its war against Russia? And it's 40 yes to 41 no. But for Republicans, it's 59 yes to 26 no. So Republicans are almost, they're over. They're plus 33 saying we have done enough for Ukraine. The number among Trump voters is even higher. But then the whole point was to contrast. Has America's European allies done enough to help Ukraine in its war against Russia? 27% of America says yes, 48% say no. So people mostly think that Europe isn't pulling its weight, and Republicans, it's 31 to 51. So there's this aspect now, the State Department like leaning into this like anti-NATO, defend the West, like kind of thing that they've been doing. I think it's going to be really popular, and I think they need more leadership on it. We're going into the field now with more NATO questions, but this isn't like what's important to acknowledge that this doesn't mean that people have turned a corner on Ukraine versus Russia. They still hate Russia for what it did, because then we also ask, which is closer to your opinion, Ukraine shouldn't accept the deal unless Russia's gone out of there. Or it's more important to end the war now, even if Ukraine has to give up its territory. So people actually think by a 2-1 margin that Russia needs to go and Ukraine needs to keep all its territory, which in my opinion is crazyville. Like that's not reality. No. So I don't know where it's going to go, but personally, I think it's just time to cut these deadbeats off. If Zelensky doesn't even have the respect for the American taxpayer to read Trump's peace deal, like that should have ended it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that would have been leadership. He came out right away. He said, oh, no, we've got this peace plan that we want to look at. It's clear that Europe doesn't want an end to the war, and everyone's like, oh, well, Putin's crazy because he came out last week and said, I'm ready for war with Europe. I mean, what the hell is the guy supposed to do? Europe's there stoking this war. They don't want any peace deal. They want the war to keep on going on. So what is the deal? Does Putin just keep sitting there fighting? Is he not supposed to take any more territory? And I'm not defending Russia or Putin at all, but I'm saying like as a country, as a leader of a country, what more is he supposed to do? What is he supposed to do when Europe is doing everything they can from a peace plan not happening? That, to me, tells Vladimir Putin that they want to keep going to war. So what are you supposed to do as a world leader? I don't understand. Am I wrong? Am I wrong in my thinking on this?
No, we need a wartime leader, John. We need Patton. And Patton wouldn't put up with this coke-addled, guy who's got, quite frankly, the fact that there was kind of like an implied red line over audits for fraud should have been the end for the American taxpayer. Like a violent, bloody, evil war, supporting that, I guess that's fine because we've done that in the past. but one where the American taxpayer is being milked by freaking foreign oligarchs that are stashing this away in yachts somewhere. That should have been a deal breaker, and it's not. And not only is it not a deal breaker, you got Lindsey Graham licking his chops about sending more crap over there. The only thing, and here's the thing, I don't want to beat up on Republicans too hard. It's like, okay, the $900 billion NDAA, fine, we need to fund the military. I'm actually surprised that those numbers are millions and not billions. I'm actually really pleased that the amount of money that we're sending to Ukraine now is only less than $1 billion, and Israel, less than $1 billion there. So I think it's a move in the right direction, but it's like, guys, what are you doing though? It's 326 days. You got to govern for the American people and not for the special interests.
Yeah. And another thing they used to tell me all the time, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. And it's looking like Zelensky's got himself a hog on his hands. The guy's taking way too much money with nothing to show for it. I think eventually he gets caught with his hands in the cookie jar. And I've said this from the beginning. I think he gets on a helicopter and flees somewhere because he's got caught. And I think the time is coming.
I wonder how much he's I think he might be like a front for somebody. I think he might be a puppet more than we think. And that's tough. You know, he probably has some pretty tough demons he wrestles every night.
I'm going to go out on the limb and say we see him disappear from Ukraine before we get a peace deal done. Hopefully I'm wrong, but that's just my sense on how things have progressed so slowly. And I've said from the beginning, I think it ends with Zelensky getting on a helicopter and disappearing somewhere. Where that's safe,
like over the Black Sea.
somewhere in Myanmar, maybe somewhere in Malaysia. Who the hell knows? But I think he disappears somewhere. It just doesn't seem feasible to me that this man has been totally honest. And if anyone catches him, it's going to be Donald Trump. And we know Donald Trump isn't too favorable to liars and cheats. So, Mark Mitchell, as always, a delight to talk with you. You get the last word here. We could have went for another 2 hours or so, but you got a busy day ahead of you. You get the last word here.
No, that's it, man. I gave it all. That's what let's kick out those Indians and reclaim our technology industry, which is I didn't rant about this enough. This is a national security concern. You know, the Fortune 100 engineering departments have all been taken over Indians. And you know what I heard? Somebody actually sent me this as a tip, and I'm not a journalist. Otherwise, I would look into this. But everybody said, look at Google winning that massive $200 billion Department of Defense contract. What's going on there? And you know what I heard behind the scenes is that, well, the way they're doing contracting in the DoD is that they're requiring certain data not be accessible or used by foreign national employees. And if you're a technology company, you've been hiring these people with both hands and fists. And apparently Google may have won that contract because they were able to convince Uncle Sam that they were the least dirty shirt and were able to like firewall this information. But this is a real problem. Like if we ever got in a war with India, if there were ever data that China wanted and they were willing to burn a bridge, you know, it would be theirs. They are next to China, which is our biggest. Remember the BRICS, John. We gave every engineering department and every important company in the United States all to save 10% on engineering labor. And it's disgusting and brutal. And I'll say it all day long. We need to de-Indianize. And it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with foreign interests. And so follow me at Rasmussen_poll at Honest Pollster and check us out on YouTube. And I'll see whoever's going to Amfest. Maybe me and John can hang out with folks.
Yeah, cause some trouble, have a few non-alcoholic beers. You know, I just came up with a really good idea. You know, colleges have quotas for minorities. Every company should have a quota for Americans, and it should be like 98%. How about you have to hit your 98% quota of American hired people before you can go into a pool of H-1Bs? What do you think about that?
Yeah, like that's the kind of thing that Republicans in Congress should be considering. But, you know, I'm pretty sure that sort of like the big business Chamber of Commerce folks down in Washington, D.C. aren't going to consider that. We've certainly done things like that. Remember, we've had immigration laws that have forced our immigrants to come from places who will assimilate. That was literally the law in America up until 1965 for almost 200 years. That's what we did, is we took immigrants from places. First off, we stopped immigrants when we were out of room, because I think that first great wave of immigration in the early 1900s precipitated the Great Depression for 100%. And then we cracked down on immigration, and then we opened the floodgates again infinity immigrants from everywhere on earth. And it is a failed experience, as Donald Trump is now talking about, but the Republicans are not. So these people are being left behind in the dust by a right-wing movement that they don't even understand. And this is a really big problem. It's going to take all of us pushing on that boulder in the InfoWar trenches. So again, hope to see people on Twitter. At
Rasmussen_poll, at Honest Pollster on Twitter. And as Mark said, maybe we'll see you guys at AmFest. I guess is it next week? It's a week from today it starts. So
yeah,
we'll both be down there. So if you're heading there, hit us up on Twitter or give us a call or whatever. Mark Mitchell, always a delight, my friend. Be well.
You too. Great to be here.
Thanks, everybody, for being with us today here on The Great American Show. We hope to see you back here tomorrow. Truth, justice, and the American way at the forefront. Until then, may God bless you. May God bless America. May God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a wonderful night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.